Okay, let's go. So, hi Sheldon, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. So, yeah, great to have you again to talk about DMG blockchain. I'm analyzing all the miners, and DMG blockchain is one of them. Last time we were talking, you were most in hosting and the software business, and you're now having a nice self-mining fleet running over there in British Columbia.
hmm
So yeah, maybe let's start with this. What is the state of the mining operations right now?
Sure. Yeah. First, no, thanks for having me again. Enjoyed the last interview, and great to be back again, and happy to answer your questions. As we talked about last time, we were traditionally a hosting company. We hosted throughout crypto winter. We didn't mine very much ourselves, but we've gone and bought a relatively large fleet, both on spot purchases and on contracts. So we bought 7,850 that we released to everybody that we bought, and some of them have arrived already, some are still coming, but right now we have a first batch of 2,450 arrived that are installed and running. We had another batch of 450 installed and running, and we got another batch of 450 installed and running, and we just received over the last couple of days another batch of 450. So we're looking at, hopefully sometime later next week, once everything's installed and up and balanced and working properly, to be running somewhere in the 370 to 80 petahash level. Currently, we run around 325, 330 petahash. And so it's working quite well. I mean, from a company point of view, that adds on a lot of significant new revenue to DMG. As we talked about in the past, DMG's never had a revenue positive quarter. We've been pretty close a couple of times. We thought we'd have it last quarter, but we had a fall in the digital asset value of our Bitcoin with the fall of Bitcoin price. That kind of eluded us a positive quarter, but we're looking at a nice Q4 from our point of view. And of course, our Q4 goes up to September 30th. So we report September 30th as our last quarter of the year. And we start a new quarter on October 1st.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, I think this could be the turning point for DMG now with the self-mining fleet with a big revenue increase. I mean, that should be right now 150,000 US dollars a day or something like this with 350 petahash or so
Yeah.
approximately. So revenue in a quarter should be at yeah above 10 million, I guess.
Yeah, we're looking something like that. I would probably in US dollars, something like that. Canadian dollars is what we work in.
Okay.
So we're looking at somewhere here around 4.5 million a month. So it'll be good quarters in the future. And of course, adding 45 petahash every month on top of that, as we work our way up to our 780 petahash that we bought. And that's not saying we don't buy some more. So we're looking at doing some more deals. We have a goal to run 2 exahash at Christina Lake, and we're working on that. We have some hosting in there, not very much. As I said before, we've not renewed contracts, so probably depending on markets, we look at getting the full 2 exahash for ourselves over time. We've also been working with a utility about twinning our sub and doubling the capacity at Christina Lake. So one of the easiest ways for us to be able to do more is to just double up what we have right there instead of finding a second location. We do have some second and third locations that we've been doing due diligence on, and I've said this before. Some are smaller, some are bigger. They're all each a little unique, but we do see ourselves growing out and doing more crypto mining. And of course, crypto mining is our core business, and we talked a little bit about some of our software. We've been pretty happy with our software, especially our partnership with Marathon and Marapool, and we're looking forward to the finally launching TerraPool with Argo blockchain. We're getting really close to having that launched out and available for clean energy users to subscribe to the new pool.
Great. I mean, we're following the data of the Mara pool. So it looks like you mined like 50 Bitcoins last month. Yeah, I mean, it would be great, and it would be important in my opinion and in the opinion of my followers that we get yeah these regular operational updates from DMG, because you're now a big miner. And yeah, people would love to see these numbers on a regular base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But one thing we've been looking at with because we have a lot of the technology behind Ameripool, as you know, it's based on a lot of our code and our partnership with Marathon. We're looking at actually pulling out through API calls the actual hash rate of DMG, and we could do it for others and putting it on our website so you can live view in real time what our hash rate's running on Ameripool and any pool we're on. You know, at DMG, we've run different pools for different reasons. Since we're in the pool business ourselves, we're interested in other pools and how they operate. But yeah, so we've been working on this idea. Instead of everybody emailing us and twittering us saying, what's your hash rate? You could just pop onto our website and see it, and not one where we just statically put in our hash rate is this much today and it just sits there month after month. It would actually go up and down with the pool, so you could actually see as we're adding miners on our hash rate changing. So we think that'd be quite unique, as we haven't seen any other companies that have a real live time hash rate pulled right from the pool that people can see.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's important for the retail investors. But I think that DMG also will gain more interest from institutional investors. I don't think they will check the live hash rate. So I really think these official statements, like Riot did, for example, yesterday or so, they mined like great results, 464 Bitcoin. And yeah, in this report, they're saying, okay, we mined this and that. We're going immersion and so on. They're telling the progress and the story. And I think that's what investors right now are missing from DMG blockchain. Like me, I mean, I'm invested big in DMG. I really want to hear more the story of DMG. What is the progress for immersion, for hash rate growth? So yeah, I was not expecting that you're now above 300 petahash, for example. So I thought you were still at 300 petahash. So this is great. That it would be really important for us to get these updates.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. I love to give more. I fight with our securities lawyers every now and then. We have closed out the quarter, and they're a bit antsy about us saying things that would be considered, you know, more inside information and not fair to the other investors. And so I like to sort of, you know, give information based off of what I've publicly said before, and we press release. So I press released all the miners in the schedule. So it's pretty easy math to do. But you know, we are looking at trying to give a bit more guidance, and we're thinking about doing more press releases, as other companies have started increasing their press releases as well on what their operations are yielding in crypto mining and what's happening. So yeah, we're definitely open to doing more. You know, since I've taken over CEO, we've become much more transparent. You know, we got a Twitter going. We never had that before. We started doing quarterly reports. You know, so where I would go through the company operations. I do a lot of interviews. Happy to do interviews all the time, and you know, we take that feedback in, and we try and look for things that we can do to add on to make it really easy and simple to understand what we're doing. So yeah, I mean, we definitely talk about what we can put out and when we can put it out, but we have to balance that with, you know, people that are sort of pushing for information that not so much that's within our strategy of how we communicate. So, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, we have to be careful that we tell everybody the same thing at the same time, instead of one person or two people trying to push some information.
Yeah, that's why I think once a month, one update for everyone, that would be great. Okay, so
okay,
I think you got the message.
Yeah.
We want to hear more from DMG. I mean, also retail investors like me, we also want to be a little bit entertained, you know. Yes, we can do the math for sure, but yeah, we're always waiting for these news, you know. And if you don't get news, you get bored sometimes. So sometimes the time preference is yeah.
We've been working on some other things too. With the Twitter, we opened up a YouTube channel. We're working on getting some more content. There's a couple of things we're doing in the content. You know, one, we wanted to run through our operations, give more details on how everything works so people can see it. You know, not a lot of people get a chance to go there. People that do go there are usually pretty impressed. If you've not been in a Bitcoin mining operation, they're pretty special to get into and see how all the stuff works. especially if you like power. So they're very interesting. But also on the software side, we're looking at doing some more on YouTube about our software and how it works and what it does. And we've got a lot of old footage that over the years we've never released. Just, while we're building things, we did it kind of for ourselves a bit. Sort of the taking, 5 or 10 minute videos of this or that, or some time lapse videos that we've done. And so I think we're going to go through and kind of groom out the YouTube channel and add in a lot of the old videos, so people can kind of see where we were, 4 years ago when we had 300 miners in a garage to where we are now, where we have, thousands and thousands of miners running now.
Yeah, that would be great.
So
emotions are
some of the videos I don't know if I want people to see, because it was pretty rough days when we first started. But we had the original S1911 terahash miners that we started out with,
they're still profitable.
Yeah, they are. Actually, some of them still do run. So.
Okay, great. So hash rate is increasing. I heard you got like 3 batches of these 450s. Numbers. So we expect now 9 more every month. So from
9 more, yeah. So it's a 1-year contract. It's very common. Bitmain's done this with many people.
Okay. Yes. So
it's the same idea.
Okay, so 700 petahash for next year is right now the target, and you said
Well, 780 petahash.
780, and you want to go to 2 exahash. This is the goal for the Christiana Lake facility there. When do you want to go to 2 exahash? When is
I want to reach 2 exahash next year. So to do that, I'm going to need to do a few more purchases. So I still need to buy about 1.2 exahash more of miners. So it really comes down to when I can get these deals done. The infrastructure at Christina Lake is moving along nicely. Pretty much everything's built. So it's really coming down to, is it a micro BT order? Is it a Bitmain order? Is it a Canon order? Is it some mixture of them? And, when can I get that order in? And as I've said on many interviews, I have this 1-year ROI. So, I'm not that interested in buying a miner at $100 a terahash. I'm much interested in, $50, $60 a terahash. And there are deals like that out there. I've done a few of them, and continuing to look at that. $100 terahash, we would need Bitcoin price to be a lot higher than it is now to really make an ROI of 1 year. But I don't want to be the company that buys a lot of very expensive equipment and can't generate the cash and have to impair that equipment. That looks really bad on my balance sheet, and it just shows that I've overpaid for something that just doesn't generate the revenue that we're expecting.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, where are the prices right now? You get offered like 50, 60 USD,
or
is it already higher?
Gone back up to $80, something around there, plus or minus a bit. So it all depends on going direct, going through different people, finding somebody that maybe overbought at a lower price, can't get it all turned on, and would rather have the cash back and look at buying in the future again. So we do a lot of that where we're talking to other groups that have bought, maybe they bought 15,000 miners, but they can only get half of them going, and so they got 7,000 that will sit in a warehouse, and they're just they'd like to run them, but they can't. Nobody's really hosting anymore. There's just too much profit in mining for yourself. So we'll take a look at buying those directly from companies that have over purchased and just haven't been able, because supply chain issues, to get everything up and running.
Okay, nice. So we're waiting for new purchases there. So what is the cash situation right now for DMG? How is it?
So our Q3, which we disclosed, we sat on about 42 million in cash and digital assets. So that's Bitcoin and cash, 20 million on the balance sheet and asset, which is Christina Lake and the miners. We're in a really good position that way. So we're looking quite strong. We have money to do deals. We have the cash available to do pretty much anything we want on the Bitcoin mining side. It really is just coming down to finding the deal that we want to do. We also have the cash to do other sites. So when you take on another site, there's a lot of capital that normally has to go into the electrical infrastructure to get it ready for Bitcoin mines. So we're kind of looking at our cash from the point of view of buying miners, but also additional capacity, whether it's Christina Lake or a different site.
Okay, nice. What is the state of immersion cooling right now? You said you're building an immersion there.
Immersion cooling, I said in my last quarterly that it's going a bit slower than we wanted. It's one of the reasons why we invested in Black Box, was to help speed up the manufacturing side. But we do have our tank design done, our dry cooler design done. We have tested all of this. I've said before, we hired a third party that did all the testing and all the power metrics. We worked out that our solution runs about 18% less power for the same hash rate than air cooled. So we're pretty happy with that. We've got an agreement with the supplier for fluid. We'd like the price. It's a really good fluid, so we're very happy with that as well. So it's really execution. It's about getting the metal over, getting it manufactured, getting the dry coolers, manufactured. It's just, everything's just taking longer. And so what we've done is we just diverted a bit more energy to building out power infrastructure and getting miners running, as that brings in the revenue immediately. And then we'll spend our time converting our, megawatt by megawatt, our facility over to Immersion, starting next year, once, we get pretty much everything installed, or at least far enough ahead in the installation of our 780 petahash that will kind of go behind it will be good. So if you look at our building, you kind of go like this as you add in miners. Behind it, we'll start converting everything over to Immersion. And
Okay.
so it's coming. I mean, it's like I say, I've said before, it's not going as fast as I'd like. It's easy to announce you're going to do it. It's harder to actually do it. And I think that other companies that say they're going to do large Immersion, they know the difficulties as well. The supply chains are really bad. It's just really slow for everyone, and it's not just Bitcoin miners. It's everybody that's looking at buying, pretty much anything industrial right now.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So we're looking for converting air cooling to Immersion somewhere next year. I think for me, it's more important to get the hash rate online, whether it's air cooled or Immersion, to mine Bitcoin in the bull run. I mean, I think that should be the priority. So I think that makes
we think alike on that. That's why we kind of stopped. I would say stop. We've kind of put a pause on the Immersion and said, let's stop racked and making money. And then once it's all racked and making money and under control, let's start the conversion over. So we're thinking the same way.
Great. So I think Riot said they're testing Immersion right now, and they're expecting a gain of 25% or even more on additional hash rate with the Immersion. So you said, okay, you have efficiency gains, so less electricity with the same hash rate. Is it also an option to increase the hash rate?
Yeah, so the way we did the test was just how much power could we save for the same hash rate. So say you're running 70 terahash and you're taking 3 kilowatts. You could take the same 70 terahash, but you would be 18% less. So whatever that is, you drop 600 watts, right? But we didn't do things in this study with the third party we used in overclocking. And so what we're talking about is if you are able to put that power back in and overclock and get a hash rate gain. So you'd be taking your 3 kilowatts, but instead of 70, you'd be getting 20-25% gain depending on how you can push the chips and how you tune them. So I understand exactly what Riot's saying. I'm just saying that the study we did was just how much power can we save for the same hash rate. We didn't do a study on how much can we overclock and how much more hash rate we get for the same amount of power that goes in. So a little bit different way of thinking about it, just on, when you start talking about the whole consumption of power in crypto mining, we were really sort of looking at, what would a savings be for the same hash rate versus, if we put a lot more power in, what would we get out for hash rate?
Okay, so what are the electricity prices there in British Columbia?
So it depends on where you are in BC. It ranges on firm power from anywhere from 5.5 to 6.5 cents. So there's different tariffs depending on what you're doing. There's also some alternatives where you can get on curtailable power that gets you down to 4.5 cents. There's also spots where you can get behind the meter and do deals with energy producers. So there's a lot of options. But generally, in Canadian, you're looking at somewhere between 5.5 and 6.5 cents.
Canadian dollars.
Canadian dollars. So, that's, 5 cents, sub 5 cents US.
Okay.
And then, like for us, we have some options where we can get, sort of 4.5 cent Canadian power. So sort of the same as the 3.2 to 3.5 you hear about in Texas. but we can get that the same type of power that they talk about in other parts of the US.
Okay, nice. So when we're talking about the infrastructure in your facility, how many megawatts do you have built out there right now? And yeah, what is the target to get the whole facility infrastructure running?
So we have we do it in phases, and each phase is 15 megawatts. And so phase one we've had running forever. It's 15 megawatts. Phase two is finished. That's another 15 megawatts. So we have 30 megawatts all built out and running. I shouldn't say it's not quite running it because we have some more. We have some space there waiting for the 450 miners to come every month. And then phase three, we're building right now. It'll take us the next probably 2 months or so. When we have the space for the deliveries in phase two. And then that's 45 megawatts. It goes inside our 30,000 square foot building. And then phase four, the last 15 megawatts, they go in the backyard behind the building and they'll be containerized. So we have Black Box building us the 15 megawatts of containers for going outside of the building. But we own all the equipment. So we already own all the transformers. We own all the cabling. We own all the internet panels. We like everything we own. It's not like we're waiting for something there. It's just us installing equipment that we purchased previously.
Okay, good. Yeah, so what we have seen in the past, investors were crying for an uplisting, you know. And what are the plans there for DMG?
Yeah, we do have uplisting plans. I've said before that, obviously we want to go into the US. All of our peers have gone to the US. So we've been working on that. I do also plan to uplist in Canada as well. So we're looking at uplisting to full board TSX. We think this is a good, strong step before going to the US. It'll really help validate our company from an accounting and controls point of view. When you move over to the US listings and you follow the US requirements, they're quite stringent on the compliance and internal controls. As a company started in the TSXV, we think naturally just to build a more robust system is to go to the TSX full board and then move from the full board into the US. Most likely, or the most probable place is NASDAQ, but we are really interested in the New York Stock Exchange as well. So we've decided to start engaging the New York Stock Exchange too. There's pros and cons to both exchanges. And so we're just investigating that a little bit closer to see which one would make more sense for DMG. So we've got a bit of a phased approach. One is full board TSX. It would be the most logical next step and probably the easiest and fastest. And then phase two, which would be sometime Q1, Q2 calendar year of next year, would be going on to a US exchange.
Q1, Q2 next year. Okay, so that's the timeline.
I should be careful when I say that though. Just we're finding that in the application process, usually you're a few months from applying to getting onto an exchange. Everything seems slower now. So
yes.
if it goes into Q3, it's not my fault. It's other people doing their work, not me.
Yeah. So Plan B says the bull run will peak in Q2 2022. So that would be nice to get to NASDAQ at that time.
Yeah.
If we peak then.
And, for us, we've been spending a lot of time talking about the US market because when you go to NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange, you're kind of IPOing in many respects. You're opening yourself up to a brand new market, a much bigger market than Canada, to a lot of institutions that would never really look at you or think about you. And you kind of have one time to do it and show who you are and show why you're a great investment for them and the money that they're responsible for. And so we're putting a lot of thought into how we position DMG into the US market and how we talk to the US market about what is of great value in our stock and why they should really be interested in having it.
Okay, yeah, I think this is important. I think we have seen it with Hut 8, for example. After listing on NASDAQ, we really had a nice rise. We have seen other miners, they were not that successful so far, but I think on the long term, it makes a whole lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah, you just need to get that liquidity and be able to get more people looking at your stock and interested in it, right? There's only so much you can do in North America. And there's only so much from an investment point of view that can invest in you. So to get those bigger institutional investors, you need to get into the bigger markets.
Yes. Okay. So how many employees does DMG have right now?
So we're about 25. We had a couple new starts coming on the next week or two. We've been busy recruiting for the last 4 or 5 months now. We'll continue to do that. We have a goal to get up to 40, 50 employees over the next year. A lot of them will be on the software side. A few more adds to the mining side, but not a lot. Depends on some of the projects. If we end up getting some of these projects that we're investigating, we may have a few more on the mining side, but definitely heavy recruitment on the software side. Again, really hard, really slow. Getting software programmers is a lot harder than you would think. So especially getting good ones.
Okay.
The other thing about software is there aren't a lot of really good C++ or like Bitcoin Core developers that are easy to find. It's a different language that most people are trained on. There's very few people in Rust. So it's a lot of work. We're retraining a lot of our staff too on new language, or I guess old languages and new languages to work with Bitcoin Core.
Okay. So when will we see a big revenue from these software developments?
Well, we think next year is, and I've said it many times that, we're going to have the bulk of our revenue out of crypto mining for the next few years. But I think you're going to start seeing some real revenue of the software side in Q2, Q3 of next year. You'll see, more revenue coming through the pools that we're working on and managing. We're hoping that Q2 next year Q2 calendar year next year, we'll have Petra up and running with financial institutions. We're hoping to have our exchange not far behind that. We'll have our digital wallets up early next year as well, so we can do custody through our partnership with Brain. We're just going to keep kind of pushing our software agenda forward, and wherever we can accelerate it by strategic investment or by purchasing companies or whatever we can to really push into the software side. We're going to keep doing that. We've outlaid some money in doing that. We've made some great investments, and it takes a little bit of time to turn that investment into technology that's revenue generating, but it's all coming, and we're pretty excited about all the projects that we're pushing forward.
Okay, so what do you think is going to be the best runner, the best performer of your software portfolio?
I think the pools integrated with Helm. So Helm we've branded our mine management software called Helm. And what we're doing with the pools is, instead of just taking a license of Helm on its own, and some companies have done that, and Helm is similar to the Foreman and other software out there for crypto miners. And so we're trying to integrate that into the pool. So your pool fee, you could option in a little bit more on your pool fee and have Helm as part of it. And then you would have, in your login to the pool, you would have not just your pool statistics and information, but you would have also all your miner information there. So you can see all your hash rates, you can do all your interventions on the miners, you can do all your repair tickets, you can overclock, underclock, you can do all sorts of things that Helm gives you that you can't do with just a pool. And so integrating the pool and the operations together into one platform, we think a lot of people are going to like that. We've had a lot of discussion with miners that are sort of tired from going from pool to their whatever type of mine management software they have back and forth. Having that all integrated and simple to use, I think, is going to be a big push in our software revenue next year.
Yeah, I mean, DMG is doing so much things there on the software side and doing this mining. I mean, with my model, the BMXI, I don't know whether you have seen it or not, but DMG is always one of the most undervalued with only the mining side with the 300 petahash I'm calculating right now. And on top of this, we have all this software stuff, which should bring a lot of revenue in the future, especially the Mara pool and so on. And I think, with 3 exahash running right now, you should get like 300,000 a month or so. That would be like $1 million in a quarter additional, with, I think, very low cost on that topic. So what I want to say is, on the operational side, I see DMG as a great performer right now. The question is, Yeah, the market cap is very, very low compared to the performance you bring. So what you want to do to increase this?
I think one of the reasons the market cap's low compared to others is kind of two reasons. One, we've never posted a positive quarter. And I think a lot of people are kind of going, well, when it starts making money, I'm willing to put my money into the stock. And I think there's some of that, it's normal for a new company to raise money, go to public markets and have losses as they build up, but eventually you want those losses to become positive. And I think you're going to start seeing that now that our hash rate's up and we're generating a lot more money than we've ever generated before. So I think that's going to start changing a lot of people's perceptions of DMG. And then on top of that is, we were a bit slower than the other companies when it came to going to the markets, raising money, buying miners. So, we were probably a quarter or two behind other people for various different reasons. So, our other peers had base shelves up. They were, in a situation where they could get money, buy miners quickly, and work on the installation, getting that hash rate up and running. So, we're a little bit behind on that one compared to some other people, but I think we've caught up a lot, and we're going to continue to catch up. But our overall cost to operate and run is very low. So our EBITDA, I think you're going to see is very favorable for DMG versus other miners out there. So, a little bit of catch up. And the story has to get out. People that have looked at us and have seen that we haven't had positive quarter yet are probably going, okay, well, we'll wait a little bit and see if they survive and make it. We're definitely surviving. We're definitely making it. And we're looking at revenue that's not just crypto mining revenue, but we're also looking at breaking into the transactional side of Bitcoin through our software. And I've said a few times that there's a certain amount of money available to Bitcoin mining. I think it's 16-18 billion a year, depending on how you value Bitcoin. A lot of people are going after that money, but when you get into the crypto transaction side of the world, when you get into what's happening with custody, what's happening with loans, what's happening with trading, buying and selling crypto, that's into the trillions of dollars, and it's growing immensely. When you look at the institutions coming in, you look at this huge, massive drive by all banks and financial institutions to figure out what's going on in crypto and how do they get into it and how do they bring their clients into it. And we're trying to be part of that business. We're trying to give solutions on the software side that allow our solutions in a regulatory and compliant way to work with financial institutions. And we said that through our last press release about Petra working with Standard Chartered Bank and their 100% owned software company called Zodia. So we're doing some really interesting stuff on the software side due to the knowledge and expertise we have in Bitcoin mining. And so we're just kind of putting them both together.
Yeah, so I think this bull run, DMG will be valued because of hash rate. And I think in the next bull run, we will have all these software things running. We have revenue from this. And I think, this is the next bull run, a lot more important maybe than the mining side. But
yeah, I think you're right. I think that, companies are being valued by hash rate and Bitcoins generated. But eventually, people will look at it and say, well, they've got all these Bitcoins sitting on their balance sheet. So, okay, now what? And we're already saying, well, we have Bitcoins on our balance sheet and we sell a few if we need to. We don't need to now, but there's more than just putting a Bitcoin on your balance sheet. There's so much you can do with Bitcoin if you can continually monetize it when it moves around the ecosystem. And that's really, that's the next thing after just making a Bitcoin is continuing to profit off of that Bitcoin.
Great. So how many Bitcoins do you own right now on the balance sheet?
So I think we're over 300. I don't know exactly. I mean, in Q3, we gave the exact number at the end of Q3. We're into Q4 now. So the math, you can figure it out from our Q3, knowing what our hash rate started out to be in September. I can't tell exactly just because it'll come up.
It's okay. I think you will get in trouble if you tell maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyways, it's around that number. I mean, it's pretty easy math. If you look at September when we turned our machines on, how many we had, it's something like that. But yeah, we ended Q3 with a few hundred, and it's been growing quite nicely.
So yeah, we're really waiting for a positive quarter then for DMG, especially Q4. I think should be a lot better than the others.
Remember when we ended Q3, we had what I called a paper loss. And that was basically our main reason for having a loss, was that the value of Bitcoin we held had dropped significantly. And I think the loss was around 8 million. But, when you look at the value coming back up to where it is now, we should have a really nice Q4.
Yes.
And kind of reverse that back out.
Yeah, that's the revaluation. Yeah, I think, and the hash rate is now, I think in Q3, it came online late Q3, I think.
Yeah, we came in the last month in September.
Yes. So yeah, that's going to be a very interesting quarter. One other topic investors are always scared of when it comes to miners is the topic dilution. So are there any plans to raise capital in the short term right now? Or do you think?
In the short term, not really. Like everybody else, we like to have a healthy base shelf in case we need to go to the market and get money for something. We've been exploring debt again. We were one of the first miners to ever do debt. We did it with Foundry, a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was a very expensive debt. So we left that model and we raised money to be able to build out and do what we're doing now. We're now looking at debt. You're getting debt sub 10%. That's a bit more palatable on a return model. So we're seriously looking at taking on some debt as a form of financing future machines. But if something comes up where the benefits of raising money for the payback we get, it makes sense, and my board agrees and our advisors agree, we would take a look at it. But right now, I don't have anything where I can say, yes, I'm going to go to markets and raise money because I'm doing this right now. That's not happening right now. So just to be clear, I mean, it has to be opportunistic. It has to make sense. It has to fit in their ROI model. And as I said before, if you can't get access to that money to make those purchases, you can't get the revenue, and then you can't get the stock appreciating. So nobody likes dilution, but sometimes dilution is needed to get that value of that stock up, so you're better off in the long run.
Yes. So when will we hear about new miner purchases? This year or next year?
I'm hoping this year. We'll see. I can't tell the future. I mean, when the manufacturers are able to how do you say it, confirm and not promise delivery dates, then I'll be able to say something. So I think they're all juggling around demand and trying to figure out. Sometimes it's not about money. Sometimes it's for them. It's about who are they doing business with and who do they want to sell to. So it's not always just money. So some of the smaller companies or some of the companies not that well known seem to have more problems ordering equipment than some of the more well known companies, or some that have done a lot of business with them. The money shows up when they ask for it, and things go well. So yeah, we know the manufacturers and have good relationships with all of them. So we're hoping to solve that issue like everyone else. So.
Okay, great to hear. Yeah, and I'm really excited for these monthly operational updates about your mining operations, because yeah, you have 300, soon 400 petahash. I mean, that's a lot. And I think yeah, you should communicate this a little bit more to the market, because I think the average retail investor right now understands hash rate, and yeah, that's it. So
yeah, the sort of our core plus story we've talked about. I think everybody's kind of right now investing on the core business of Bitcoin mining, and probably not thinking too much about the software in the future and where that's going. But it'll come in time, as the software starts picking up its revenue, they'll start thinking about that a bit more.
Okay, so yeah, I think yeah, I asked all my questions so far. So yeah, maybe one last question. So where do you see the overall bull run right now we're in? Do you have your own opinion? Where does it end? Will it end this year or next year? And of course, we need a price target.
Oh man, I get asked this all the time. I mean, all I know is I'm always wrong.
Yeah, me too.
So, I think what I'm seeing, and when I talk to others, I'm seeing more institutions trying to figure out how to get into this for their clients. And to me, that means there are more buyers of Bitcoin out there, sort of emerging and trying to figure out how to get a hold of it and how they can use it for their clients. So when you think about it that way, and you think about how big financial institutions are and how many clients they have, there's definitely going to be more pressure on the buying side of Bitcoin, which is great for Bitcoin miners and holders. And I think it's going to keep going. I think we will see Bitcoin continue to rise. I think people are saying it's going to go up to $70,000, $80,000 are right. $100,000 I don't think is impossible. Will it happen before Christmas? I'm not sure. I think we'll have some more price appreciation, but I find that when you hit Christmas time, business kind of starts going into vacation mode. So when you think about it that way, I think you're going to see a lot more activity sort of after January, when people kind of I mean, everybody's tired. We've been stuck in our houses for 2 years with COVID. People are just starting to get out and see their friends again and travel. So, on the business side, I think that crypto will continue to appreciate. And I just don't think it's going to tear off, to $100,000 before Christmas. I think this is something that in the new year, we'll see, more appreciation than we'll see before this year's out.
Yeah, interesting. I think a lot of
again, I'm always wrong, so don't quote me on anything.
Okay, so when we're at 200,000 on Christmas, you would be fine with that too.
Just run this clip again and say, well, that Sheldon didn't know anything, so don't listen to him.
Yeah, so. I mean, you should mine Bitcoin. You should not make price predictions. So that's more important, that you mine a lot of Bitcoin.
Exactly. So no, that's. I mean, again, these are just general feelings. We don't spend time trying to guess the future value of Bitcoin.
I mean,
miners, we're long on it. We believe in it, so we're gonna mine it no matter what.
Okay, great. So Sheldon, thank you very much for being on the show right now. I really think my followers, they really asked for this interview, and I think it was great to have you there.
No, anytime. Just fire off an email, and we're pretty fast to answer them. And
so maybe we will do it more regularly. In my opinion, we could on a monthly or 2-month base or something like this. Would be great.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to give updates. I'll work on getting more press releases out there for you.
To do that, especially about the mining stuff. That's what people want to see.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, it's Friday here, so good long weekend for you guys. Enjoy the last little bit of, we have sunshine here in Vancouver. Hopefully you guys have some sunshine.
Here, it's already dark here. It's 10 p.m. here where I am. So it's Friday evening. So I will go to bed soon.
My weekend's just gonna start. I'm gonna be doing more emails for the next few hours. My day's not over yet, but
okay. So enjoy the weekend.
All right, thank you,
and see you next.
All
Bye.
Right, cheers. Bye.